women are not.
Young men have fallen faster than any demographic in America over the last 40 years.
It's a different world now. Like, we don't need men the way that they used to.
Nobody needs men!
The future is female.
Men and women are drifting further apart, and society is crumbling because of it.
A fascinating debate has broken out about the value of marriage.
You've kind of got the trad-con versus red pill thing.
This men's rights crowd that sometimes just goes too far the other way.
You need to stop acting like grown boys and infants and actually become men.
Marriage is a bond, and it's a sacred bond.
It's a machine designed to extract resources from you.
Now many of the red-pilled have taken the position that it's bad for men to get married.
Hannah Pearl Davis, or just Pearly things.
One of the most controversial faces in all of the internet.
She goes on to say that marriage is a terrible deal for men.
Because if me and you were in a business contract, you would never sign a contract where I am paid to leave.
Gee, what could go wrong there?
74% or something of divorces are initiated by women. Men have everything to lose, primarily their own children.
Men get killed by the courts and by divorce laws.
I had no idea that courts of family law were courts of equity, not courts of law.
Because in family court, you don't need evidence to accuse someone of abuse. You need no evidence. When you guys say get married young, a lot of these men don't know what they're signing up for, and you're not going to be there when their entire life falls apart. I interview them on the other side.
I didn't meet my son until he was 15 months old.
How much did you spend trying to get him back?
On legal fees alone was about $200,000.
Before you know it, you're homeless. You're literally just thrown out onto the street.
We absolutely reinforce bad behavior from women.
Wives are taught to leave their husbands, and then daughters grow up without their fathers.
Family is the foundation of society.
Every problem in society comes from single mother homes.
A lot of women will just chase this negative rabbit hole of happiness, endless happiness.
Feminism's biggest failures is it lies to women. We tell women to date as many guys as possible. We tell them to put off family into marriage.
You are allowed to leave your perfect husband. You are allowed to end a relationship with a really great boyfriend.
Oh, freeze your eggs, have an abortion. What? You're evil.
I don't think there's anything else in life that we actually ever go into preparing to fail. Right. Like, if you have the mentality of this is going to go wrong and be pessimistic, naturally the outcome is going to be that it's going to fail anyway. Yeah. It's self-sabotage. And that's the thing, like, women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, 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 my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
This myth that we live in an age of male privilege. Where's my male privilege?
They think, well, men have all the rights. They have all the power.
Privileged patriarchal system that we have.
Why doesn't our society care about men's rights?
I have no friends.
No wife and no social life.
Men are alone in this situation. Men are homeless. Men are thinking about eating guns.
I've seen so many men on the brink of suicide, and they didn't do anything wrong.
How are you equal if the men are the ones that have to fight and die to defend the country? The men are the ones that build and maintain all the infrastructure.
Women are helplessly dependent upon men.
The so-called deaths of despair from suicide, overdose, or alcohol, 3 times higher among men than among women.
Culture is telling men, you are no good.
You got to get your act together.
I think men have failed themselves.
What kind of a man are you? What kind of a woman are you going to attract?
If men are in trouble, so are women.
Everybody knows this is a huge problem, but nobody wants to admit it.
Every single woman at the table said they wanted a man.
500K.
500K.
200K.
300K.
200K.
Am I crazy?
Everything is really set up against you to fail as a man.
If men make less than women, women don't want to marry them.
So you know who wants more economically and emotionally viable men? Women.
I don't want to be an independent woman anymore.
I don't want to be a strong, independent woman.
I'm over it. When is it going to be my turn?
Where are we meeting the men that don't stop?
I can't keep having these same conversations.
The only simp here is you, Pearl. You simp for men.
I think you simp for women.
She's a provocateur. She says stupid stuff, but Pearl is right about this.
It's already happening. It's just not out in the open yet.
Now it's just hookup culture is going to be our fairy tale ending because men don't want a wife and women can't find a husband.
The future, if everybody follows your path, is there is no future.
We go into population decline, and our economy goes into decline.
Civilization will crumble.
The American story does not end well. This is an existential crisis, failing young men.
So, what up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily, and I wanted to start the show by telling all the people that celebrated when I got demonetized to, again, eat it. Eat it. Abba and Preach, you can eat it too. I see you're seething, making another video about me. Didn't even see it.
Just saw the title and the thumbnail. All of you bitter women on TikTok, eat it. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Because I just hit 2 million subscribers, baby. Eat it. Eat it, eat it, eat it. All right, guys, what up? That is my trailer for my documentary. If you guys happen to want to donate, feel free. We want to get to about 100K. I think we could put this together. If we get to $1 million, you know, then we can make it a Netflix grade with the best team in the country. But to get it done, yeah, around 100K. So if you guys want, there's a GoFundMe in the description, or you can join our members only community in the description. Basically, it's going to teach you guys how to improve your love lives, your wealth, your money. And we're going to do weekly meetings with smart, intelligent men that'll give presentations on different things, as well as access to the ones that already did. Okay, so if you guys want all of that, does support the documentary. Okay, so today we're talking about liberal women begging conservative men to come back to the Democratic Party. So welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily. The last 20 years, liberals have attacked masculinity and the nuclear family. The misandry, the hatred of men really is everywhere. Men are toxic. Men are evil. Men are trash. You see it on social media, you see it on TV, and you see it in movies. They even went as far as to try to define a new type of masculinity in the last election cycle in an attempt to redefine what a man is to better fit their feminist agenda. It turns out the men are not having it anymore. They are fed up. This was never more apparent than in the 2024 election, where 74% of white men and 45% of Latino men voted for Trump. The rhetoric from the Democratic Party over the last 20 years has damaged the party in the eyes of men in the United States, maybe for generations. The Democrats have done a lot of work to regain the male vote, but turns out that demonizing half of the population and calling them the root of all evil isn't the most effective campaign strategy. All right, so there was this commercial called "Vote Against Your Husband." So let's see how that went.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose.
Why is this woman worrying about a right to choose? She's like 45, bitch. Nobody's getting you pregnant. You have to spend like $50K to get pregnant at your age. What are you worrying about that for?
You can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey. Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth.
Yeah. And they're wondering, why aren't the men voting, huh?
Vote Harris Walls.
Yeah, okay. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay, so what are the Democrats going to do about this issue? Apparently, they're going to spend $20 million trying to find a way to connect with the average male voter.
They care for men like a scientist cares for whatever's in the petri dish when they're looking through the microscope. Just like if you're studying men, you already wrong. You are on the wrong track if your approach is to study men. Here's the thing they think President Trump has like this magic formula with men. He didn't have a magic formula with men. All he said is, you're not evil, you're not racist, and you're not existentially wrong for being a man. That's it. And men are like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And then the other thing he basically said is, now I'm going to leave you alone to live your life. And that is actually what guys want. But they don't want to be studied like there's some animal in the wild that nobody's seen before, and what are his movements? And they definitely don't want to be compared to Tim Walz. I'd get rid of that guy right away.
Look, you're talking about sincerity. President Trump led with sincerity. He knew what was wrong with them, what was wrong in society. He said it and said he was going to make changes. Yeah. You can't fake sincerity, right? And the Democrats are faking sincerity. They want to study. But here's my bigger issue is, why do you need to spend any money? I thought, maybe I'm wrong, the job of a politician is to be for the people. Go out and talk to your constituents. Those are your constituents. Figure out what they want. Actually take the time to address them and figure out what their issues are.
Jasmine Crockett said she wanted a job when she grew up where she didn't have to talk to people.
Yeah, that doesn't work so well.
Yeah. Dagan, I just want to get your take on this, because when I look at it, I think what essentially the Democrats do to young men is they emasculate them. They almost encourage them not to be men, not to work, to kind of live off the system, to be in your mother's basement. You know, we've talked about that sort of profile person before. Whereas I think President Trump sort of tapped into the zeitgeist of what men are feeling. They want to be men. They want to get out. They want to work. They want to provide. So to your point, Brian, he really sort of understood what was missing in the messaging to them and wants to revive that back again. I don't think the Democrats want strong, successful men in this country.
No, there is a power pyramid of adversity. And the more things that you have in your life, adversities that you face, the higher up on that pyramid you are in the left-wing universe. So if you're a dude, you're down here.
We're the base of the pyramid, Lou.
In the Luniverse.
Hold the whole thing up.
Great new word.
You're the patriarchy. You're the root of all the evil. That's how they've been viewed and treated for how long? By the Democrats, the liberals, whatever you want to
conservatives, too, to be fair.
Call them.
Okay, so you guys get the idea. The Democrats are begging. They're thinking, how do we get the men back? And the men are like, hey, you know, you could stop being a misandrist and give us a reason to vote Democrat. A lot of men would vote Democrat if they brought family court reform to the table. But, you know, why does there even need to be a study about this? Democrats, really, they've become the party of intolerance. And if you say that women should go get married and have kids, they lose their minds. If you say that a man shouldn't play in women's sports, you get canceled. The lack of the ability to look at different points of view and opinions is what got Democrats to this point. And by the look of it, that's still the case. Okay, so here's a TikTok talking about how the Democratic Party is lost.
This right here just truly shows how inauthentic and just lost the whole Democratic Party is. Democrats spending millions to learn how to speak to, quote, American men and win back the working class. Party leaders are holding up in luxury hotel rooms on a strategy codenamed SAM, or Speaking with American Men, a Strategic Plan, to try and convince working class to vote their way again. I think the funniest part here is they're holding up in luxury hotel rooms to figure out how to speak to American men. Step one, don't do that. Democrats have spent $20 million on their efforts with donors and strategists holding up in hotel rooms. They're using the funds to, quote, study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. So basically, they're just showing that they're fake and they're just going to say anything they can to get your vote. Because generally, if they actually had good ideas for working men and actually cared about helping them, working men would vote for them. But working men in this country are never a priority to Democrats. Like, they literally lost the union vote last election, which people thought was impossible. But that's not going to stop the Democrats from trying to act really fake about it to get your vote. Keep this in mind the next election.
They spent $20 million. You guys could have given me $100K and I would have answered your question. I have this divorce documentary I'm trying to raise money for. They spent $20 million. Here's another guy talking about it.
The Democratic Party just spent $20 million on a study to try to figure out why their party is struggling to connect with men in today's society. I am not making this up, and it makes complete sense because the only thing the Democrats know how to do is throw a whole lot of money at a problem that we all know they're not even going to work to solve. $20 million on a problem I could give you the answer to. Do you think it has anything to do with the past 4 to 5 years of you telling men, well, white, straight men to be specific, that they are the threat to democracy? They're the problem with this country? What did they expect when they put Tim Walz up with Kamala Harris and they thought he was going to connect with the average guy in today's society? This is the same guy that is putting tampons in boys' restrooms. And they want you to believe that that is normal. They're the same people that can't even define what a man or a woman is. And these are the same people that think it's okay for men to compete in women's sports. Just think about where that money could have gone. $20 million to figure out how they should talk to men. But they're never going to figure that out because they're too busy going woke. Have a good one.
So cooked. $20 million. I could have answered this study. Why was I not contacted?
Democrats are spending $20 million on a study on how to speak with American men. The report promises to study the syntax, language, and content that resonates with young male voters. $20 million to study syntax and language in young males. You could figure out how to speak whale with that kind of money. This is the political version of punching someone in the face and then spending $20 million to study why they don't want to hug you anymore. Instead of the study...
that's funny. This is the equivalent of punching someone in the face and asking why they don't want to hug you.
Democrats considered talking directly to its young male voters, but scrapped the idea after realizing the entire demographic fit comfortably in a Prius.
Damn. All right, let's see. Then there's one more guy talking about it on TikTok.
The Democratic Party. Strange party. Weird group of people. So y'all spent $20 million to try to win back men. To come vote. Can somebody please convince me?
Ricky, we talked about the simping. We talked about this. We talked about it last show. Remove the hearts, okay? This is an informational show. We don't simp here.
As a black man, why I should vote Democrat. As a black man that has a wife. And I do believe that only women can have kids. How can a man, vote for that? And take identity politics out, take race and identity out. Take that shit out of there and give me a valid reason why I should vote Democratic. Don't tell me because the Republicans are going to put me in slavery. Don't tell me that Donald Trump's a racist. Tell me why men should be back voting Democrat. I think the group of men that y'all have, y'all keep them. Y'all can keep them. The 20% of black people that left the party, I am trying to encourage the other 10. I'm trying to get another. If we could get the Democratic vote of black people down to at least 30%, we in the game. That's all it is. Because I will never come back. I have convinced people, a lot of people that was born Democrats, I convinced them to be Republicans. And not even convince them, I just showed them why it makes sense. And I always say this. I ask them, do you believe in a nucleus family? First thing they say, yes. Do you believe men can have babies? No. I said, then you have conservative values. Might not be a Republican, but you have conservative values. So you have to understand that you have Republicans, conservative, and people that's just for fucking Trump. Because when Trump leaves, you'll see the party dissipate. Everybody's going to go everywhere. But you'll still have people not going back to the Democratic Party. I know I wouldn't because it doesn't represent my identity as a man. Definitely the men I see in that party from me being out the world, definitely the men I see down here living in Georgia that are Democrats, I don't associate with that. That lifestyle, them, who they are, their way of thinking, I couldn't associate with it.
20 million could buy 10,000 tiny homes or job training for 5,000 men.
And I'm in a hub. So the whole Atlanta is damn near Democratic. And just think about the place of Atlanta and the men that's down there. and I don't live in the city of Atlanta. I live in the suburbs, the outskirts, but I'm in the city for work. But I still don't see an identity for myself in that party. And I want to know, what are they going to learn with this 20 million? How are you going to try to identify with men? What, you going to make a podcast? Yeah, I want to see this. I really want to see this.
All right. So, at the front line of this effort to attract young men back to the Democratic Party is Olivia Giuliana. She's an abortion rights activist that has been tasked by the DNC to talk to young men about why they left the party. Okay, so if I was the Democratic Party, I would definitely get a hot chick. Okay? I mean, if I personally would get a man, but if I was going to get a woman, I would get a woman with big boobs, huge natural knockers, right? I mean, natural or they can't tell, you know, a really good one. I would get blonde, blue-eyed, maybe a Latina, depending on who we're going after, right? Let's see who they picked.
I'm the person that's in charge of bringing young men back to the Democratic Party, according to Donald Trump Jr., Trump War Room, Libs of TikTok. And while none of that's actually true.
Why would they get a fat woman? Of all the people you could get, a fat woman?
Every single time I saw one of y'all posting about me, I had one main thought at the top of my head. Y'all are a bunch of... Y'all are the ones that made it about a woman and her identity and the way that she looked.
No, we just fat shamed, actually. It's true to our nature. We're realists here. If your job is to talk to people, you got to give them something good to look at. Now, look, I wasn't born beautiful. You know, I was born cute, but I wasn't born stunning, beautiful, gorgeous. If I was, I mean, I could thank my parents. Every time they call me ugly on the internet, I'm like, thanks, Mom and Dad. Could you guys have done better? You know, not trying to make this about me, but what I'm saying is I understand. I really do understand that you can only do so much with what you're given, right? I mean, you can't become beautiful, gorgeous. So I'm not going to bully someone that just doesn't have a good fit. They can't help that. Or even 10, 20 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of hardworking men that have a gut. But, I mean, they don't have time to worry about that stuff. They got work. But what's your excuse? You're young and fat. And your job is talking to people. You're not like at a strenuous job all day. So we will bully you for being fat. We will. We will, yeah. So I'm not making it about your identity. I'm going to make it about your decisions. I don't think being fat is an identity. I think but it is a decision and a series of bad decisions. Like, and by the way, I think my BMI at the heaviest I ever was a little overweight. I'm tall. I'm not going to say the weight. I don't need to be roasted right now. But I was probably like, I think if I did a BMI, it would have said like slightly overweight when I was. And what happens is every day you feel guilty about the poor eating habits you made or the decisions. And eventually that pain gets bad enough that you make a change, you know. But that means she had that feeling for years and didn't change it. You know what I mean? Like years she's felt like this.
Looks, something that y'all consistently claim the Democrats do. You don't actually give a fuck about young men. Instead, a lot of you want to talk about my weight.
I will talk about your weight. I will. I'll continue to talk about it because it's all I see. And I won't lie, if you were in front of me in person, I'd probably be polite, but it would be the first thing on my mind. Okay.
Pictures of me from about 65 pounds ago. So let me ask you this. If I lose another 65 pounds, will y'all actually raise young men's wages? Will you actually increase funding to mental health services?
Okay, so she said, she said she's lost 60 pounds. And if she loses another 60 pounds, would you guys stop making this about my weight? You need about 150 more pounds. That's my answer. Definitely 160 will not be enough. And the next thing I noticed is that she talked about men's mental health issues. Well, I would venture to say that a lot of men's mental health issues come from having to look at fat women everywhere. You're contributing to the problem. I mean, you could be a wife. They could be greeted by a hot young college girl because she's in college. I know the weight ages her. But instead, pleasant to look at, pretty. But instead, they're greeted by your roles. Do you see the challenge here?
Or are you just going to find another way to deflect from the fact that y'all don't actually have any policy plan to help them? How can you keep making this into some kind of...
Where's your family court plan? I have a plan. No alimony, no child support, 50-50 custody. Boom. So easy.
Oh yeah, let's send her to every frat house in the country. I'm not afraid to go into frat houses or to go to college campuses or to talk to Republicans because unlike y'all, I don't think that they're all shallow assholes.
So she said, I'm not afraid to go into frat houses. Of course you're not. There's a young guy that's willing to do it. I don't know who he is, but one of them's going to do it.
I think that there are actual people who can hold a conversation. But clearly, based off the way you talk about them and the way that you treat them, you think that they're dumb as shit. Well, I actually don't. So I'm going to continue to advocate for young men to get the policy agenda that they...
The advocating for young men is nice, but I would like to advocate for you to look at a meal plan. Don't even worry about your exercise yet. I think it's going to be too much work to do these walks. So if I were you, I would just eat less. I would start at a 300 calorie deficit a day. And yeah, that's what I would do.
You deserve. And I'm going to continue to lose weight. And then maybe when I finally do drop that next 65 pounds, we can revisit this conversation.
100 pounds. I mean, she looks like she's about 260. I want you to be 120, 130 max. You don't look tall.
Conversation and see if you can actually stand on business. Because this time, none of you fucking did.
Yeah, if you stand on business, I feel bad for that business because they're going to suffocate, okay? I'm standing on business, RIP businesses. You stand on business and we're all dead. Frat houses are afraid. Ozempic don't stand on business. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, that's too funny. Okay. All right, the next one, we got the war room. I love young men, top Democrat activist and we're calling her a thought leader. This is how we get so delusional. Is you're calling this young college woman a thought leader. Olivia Juliana is now advising Democrats on how to win over young men.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who support Black Lives Matter.
They got better things to do than worry about those issues.
And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it. Well,
I feel like she doesn't know men at all. Men don't really care about being welcomed. They want lower taxes. They want to buy a house. They want to make more money. They're going to ask, what do I get from this? And it's always nothing. Here we go. Democratic influencers tasked with helping American Democrats attract young voters. Oh my gosh, she's so fat. Who raised this woman? There is no reason to be this fat. so young too. That whoever raised her, because I'm assuming gaining that much weight takes a lot of time. Because it's not like you get fat overnight. So she had to have started young getting fat. All right, let's take a look at one of her videos so we can see what we're dealing with.
I say with full confidence, you know, I don't think that there are any other public figures who are activists who are my age who are plus size.
And thank God for that. Thank God. I don't like looking at you. Look, and don't be, I mean, she's kind of has an ugly face too. But if she was thin, I mean, pretty much all women, even the ones that are unattractive, if you're 19 and unattractive, like a 19-year-old girl or woman who's a 4 is a 6. And it blows because you don't really know what you have back then. You're so insecure and it's like, you don't even know. But so she could be probably a 5'6" if she just wasn't fat and she was young. But she chose diabetes.
I think that when it comes to being recognizable, I might be the only one. And I think, you know, if we're gonna give, you know, plus size girlies someone to look up to, it might as well be somebody who's bold and happy with who they are.
Oh my God, what do you mean happy with? Doug MPA found me this video. Why did you torture me today? Daddy is just wallet. Chad's dad also. Why did you
My name
torture
is
me?
Olivia Juliana. I'm the Director of Politics and Government Affairs at Gen Z for Change, and I'm also an abortion rights activist here in Houston, Texas. And I use she, her pronouns, and I am an openly queer Latina. I've gone from being, you know, a junior in high school who makes TikTok videos to now I'm a sophomore in college, and I'm the director of politics at this organization that is now nationally known and meeting presidents and governors and members of Congress. This is a very contentious time for political conversations concerning the LGBTQ+ community. It's not something that I would have predicted happening at this age, but I'm glad that it is because young voices should be at the table. There's a misconception, I think, about being a young political figure, which is that you need to have the demeanor and the talking style of a politician. And I want to be very clear, I never said I was nice. And so I consistently watch politicians attack every facet of my identity. And Matt Gaetz is a really great example of someone who honestly went a little too far.
I'll go further. I'll do it.
Why is it that the women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions? They're like 5'2", 350 pounds, and they're like, give me my abortions or I'll get up and march and protest.
And I responded. I said, I'm not 5'3". I'm 5'11", 6'4" in heels. I wear them to remind small men like you of your place. And so from there, I started fundraising for abortion funds. I thought that we'd raise a couple $1,000s.
Oh my gosh, she raised $400,000 to kill children. Women always win. It's so blackpilling. We win doing everything.
And I did not anticipate the media attention and the tangible attention that would come from this.
19-year-old abortion rights activist and political strategist Olivia Juliana.
Olivia Juliana raised over $2.2 million for abortion rights after a Twitter battle with Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz.
It's pretty clear to the country, and it'll be clear to history in the tussle between me and Matt Gaetz, who actually ended up winning.
Makeup is not going to help, but a meal plan will. I suggest learning how to cook, yeah.
My outward outward appearance is very important to me, and not necessarily in the way of I feel the need to fit beauty standards, but more so I think it's very reflective of my personality. The jewelry that I wear is big and bold and noticeable and loud. The most consistent pieces I have are my gold hoops, which are important to me, you know, as a Latina. It's a really big part of our culture. And
the Latinas don't claim you. They don't.
You know, a few years ago, it wouldn't have been seen as acceptable to wear those kinds of things in a professional setting. But with people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wearing them, you know, on the House floor, and to do important things and to give important speeches, it's brought this sense of pride to a lot of young Latin women that we can wear those things because they're part of our.
Why does she sound like she's gonna cry?
Culture.
Talking about hoop earrings, man.
And so for me, it's important to keep that with.
She can be a failure of a human and still make a bunch of money. You could be like, the point of being an influencer. I understand. Look, if I was a model looking, and I'm not trying to I'm not trying to beat myself up, right? But I can use myself as an example. This is my show. You know, I'd be on Sports Illustrated or get those kind of opportunities, right? But at least in conservative media in general, you can't be fat. You could maybe be slightly, like, I think the biggest influencer I've seen is like 10, 20 pounds overweight. Nothing crazy, right? But you cannot be morbidly obese because part of your job is looking good. And now we got this.
And so growing up, not only religious, but also in a Mexican family,
yeah, the parents started it, see, from a young age. That's child abuse, man. Child abuse.
There were a lot of connotations and cultural gaps about not only, you know, being a woman, but also being part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so when I was 18, I finally started to come to terms.
Half the time lesbians just can't get the guys they want.
Terms with the fact that, you know, sexuality is not a choice. This is...
Yeah, if you were getting attention from hot guys, you wouldn't be queer.
Is who you are. And I really started to unpack a lot of the ideas that I had from, you know, being Christian and what it meant to identify as somebody who is openly queer, and bypassing some of the machismo that happens in Latin culture. And at that point, I just realized that, you know, I am who I am, and my LGBTQ plus identity is just as important to me as my Latin identity, and I don't have to pick one or the other to be valid, because both of those identities are part of who I am, and I should be open with both of them and proud of both of them. This is my closet, one of my greatest sources of joy in my life. I love it.
There should be a new joy. I would suggest a new source of joy in your life: the gym. Salad, soup, steak, eggs, cottage cheese.
But, you know, I love having my nails done and having big chunky gold jewelry and wearing bright colors and heels, because it's so reflective of the bold, loud, unapologetic personality that I have. And for a really long time,
Doug MPA, can you reach out to her and see if she'll come on the show? You never know.
I was so insecure about my height. I was insecure.
You were insecure about your height? Come on!
About my size, because
okay, that's valid. There you go. You said height before weight.
I'm very tall, and I never wore heels, and I tried to hide my body, and, you know, at some point I just...
I don't understand the women being insecure about being tall. I'm tall. And I love being tall. Have fun with your son's on JV, all right?
Realize that was stupid, and that I am who I am. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. Being so public in the work that I do and being a personality, it has benefits, but there are also downsides.
She's not coming on. Is it because I've called her fat for 45 minutes? Is that what did it?
Do it too. You know, every flaw that I have, every insecurity that I have, it's on a public stage. Anyone and everyone has pointed it out, and they will point it out in the future.
You're fat. I did it again.
You're out.
Fat.
Where its appearance
is fat.
Doesn't define your value.
Fat. It does define your value. It does. It shows that you don't value yourself and other people because you got so obese, it's going to become everyone else's problem.
You as a human, you know, you are inherently valuable regardless of what you look like. I think it's a very Eurocentric, heteronormative thing to say that I have to fit in this box to be considered beautiful. I don't.
You do have to fit into a box, like a plane seat, a chair. And not the big chairs, a normal sized chair, a doorway, less than a size 10 to be considered beautiful. You're too young to be this big. You should tell your parents they were abusive because they gave you some terrible habits. Your parents are fat too. It's not really your fault, but now you're an adult, so you gotta fix it. My mom gave me butter noodles growing up, so I get it. You know, I mean, sometimes the parents, they just give you whatever, but you gotta fix it. You're an adult now.
I don't think that's true. So I think if I had to tell my younger self something.
Oh my gosh. She wasn't even that fat before. I would tell her to stop eating. Stop eating now.
It would probably be just know that.
Holy Oppression Olympics, Batman, gold medal. Thank you for the super chat. Also, you get unlimited super chats in the chat on the website.
There's going to be a purpose. There's going to be a purpose that comes from all of the things that you're going through. And you just need to hold on because it does get better.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you for that torture, Doug MPA. So we're going to put the link, the Zoom link in the chat. Can you be a man Democrat? And what could the Democrats do to earn your vote as a man? And were you ever a Democrat? And if you were, what made you leave the party? Let me know, guys. Call in. It makes the show so much better. I love hearing from you. But I gotta give you some ground rules when you call in. I love taking a lot of callers. I prefer it. But that means you guys, please don't give me a monologue. We're gonna try to keep it 2 minutes or less. If me and Doug MPA have further questions, we'll keep asking you. And then, sometimes you guys say something interesting. We might ask you questions, go back and forth, but your opening statement, whatever, please, 2 minutes or less. Next, please make sure YouTube is not playing in the background. And so far, we've actually been okay with people on their cameras off. So I'm still going to allow people to have their cameras off if they want. But if your camera is on, please don't be driving or walking around. I don't want to be responsible. Look, I don't want to be responsible if anybody crashes into something on my stream. Then it's going to be my fault. And they'll use anything against me. So could only say F you. Okay, thanks. That's fine. So, yeah, that's really the ground rules today. But I do love hearing from you guys, so please like the video. Bonjour from Canada. I love your content. You're freaking hilarious. Cheers. You guys are too kind. I thought about doing stand-up actually recently. I really want to do it because I think I'd be all right at it. But I was talking to a girl that does stand-up the other day, and I was like, well, do you ever get nervous you're going to bomb? And she's like, it's not if you bomb, it's when you bomb. And I'm like, oh no. She's like, you just have to do it. And I'm like, do you know what the worst part about being famous, semi-famous, not famous, it's like I can't. sometimes I want to go into the wild and be invisible, because if I do something embarrassing, it's not that I think, like, I'm not narcissistic enough to think that it's really going to go, like, it's going to go on the internet and me. I'm not that famous, but I'm also realistic enough to know that it could. And so I'm like, if I'm going to sign up for something that I could potentially embarrass myself, I don't really want the possibility of it being recorded, but it's too late. I've played my cards. I'm already here. Do you know what I mean? I've already have my channel. I already do my stuff. I know, I think I could do a really funny bit about women, obviously, but I just know the type of, there's some leftist types that go to that sort of thing. And I'm not really ecstatic about, you know, Pearl bombed, or that's my fear. I should just get over it. Right? I really should. But that's where I'm at with the stand-up thing. But this is actually the last day of the month. So the way YouTube pays is it pays at the end of the month. So if you do have a super chat, then I'll get it next month by the 21st. It pays us like a month later. It's really annoying. But we're moving semi soon. So feel free to send a super if you're enjoying the show. Do we have Doug MPA up?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hey, Doug MPA. How are you?
I'm good. We can't see your video on the Zoom though. Can you?
I'll text the tech guy, but it's
Okay.
I think they're on, so they should.
Okay, cool. All right.
But you're kind of, if you guys could turn the sound up a little bit, it's kind of faint.
Oh, well, I mean, I can see you on the, I'm sorry. I was just in the Zoom call. I wasn't watching it actually. So
No, I think it's the headphones. I was wondering if they could turn the Zoom sound up. Christian, a woman I'd love to see you interview, Leonardo, the stand-up comic in Texas. I forgot her last name. So I have seen this woman, and I'll give you my thoughts on her. She's very funny. I do like her. However, I could see us disagreeing on some like TradCon stuff. Because when I hear the rhetoric that women have been brainwashed, I'm like, how do women, I mean, Doug MPA, you've seen women, sleep with Darius, Glocktavius, Tyrone, Chad. I don't think
Gavin, the starving musician.
Yeah, are we really brainwashed into doing that?
No. Here's the thing. There's wants and needs. And women, if you leave them to do what they want, they always choose the worst thing. And remember, there's nothing more important to modern women than their own selfish desires. Not their husbands, not their family, not society, not their kids. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yep. 100%. That's what it is. If you leave women to do what they want, they always choose the most expensive route, the hardest route, the route that costs everyone everything except them, the route where they can dodge accountability. So it's not really brainwashing. It's just, they just choose the worst option because they can.
I saw a tweet the other day that said it was about housewives having it was a guy who was a housewife for a day or like a week or something because his wife was out of town and he said it was so easy. And somebody said, oh no, how will you get done organizing the cabinet from A to Z, or like the book collection from A to Z? Because it was talking about how women just do the most, we'll spend our time doing the most useless stuff.
Yeah, it's just I hate that argument where,
Go ahead, sorry.
They talk about single mothers and they say, well, how will single fathers raise the children and work? If a single mom can do it, single fathers can do it infinitely better and more efficiently than single mothers can. This assumption that a man can't raise a child by himself is just crazy. It's like this out that women have to be able to justify a man never getting custody.
I know.
But it's proven that men are more efficient with their time, they make more money, and children from single father homes do better.
This is the pattern I've noticed. women say something is very, very hard. For example, women often talk about how getting ready for dates and like our maintenance is hard. You know, the makeup, the what, yada, yada. And then men say, is it that hard? And they do it. For example, James Charles went out and did it. And then the men beat the women at it. It's same thing with parenthood, housewife.
All the top stylists, all the top makeup artists are men.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your views on the Cardi B and Offset situation? We're actually going to do a show on this soon. But I think it's hilarious. I don't feel bad for Cardi in the slightest because she used to rob and drug men. So if her baby daddy puts her on child support because he's pissed that she's twerking all over some new guy or doing whatever, I don't really give a shit. You know, I hope more men do it. What do you think, Doug MPA?
Anytime I see a Cardi B getting put on child support and alimony, Adele took a big $80 million L. Kelly Clarkson did. Mary J. Blige. I love it. What do I keep saying, guys? Life will never be fair for a man. So feminism is women advocating for their lives to be just as difficult as men's lives. That's the only way that they're going to get the equality that they're asking for. Is for their lives to suck as bad as men's lives suck. And you see it right there. So guys, if you're with a woman and she starts making more money than you and she wants to divorce you, get alimony, get child support, get it. It's yours. You deserve it. What kind of woman would she be if you hadn't have been with her the whole time? It built her up into the person she is today, right? Get your money.
Do you know what's funny? The men more likely than not actually do that with high earning women. Like Kelly Clarkson, I'm pretty sure her husband was her manager or something like that.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mary J. Blige too.
What was he?
Yeah. Yep.
They deserve it then.
Well, he didn't pay her taxes for like 8 years, and she ended up like $6 million in the hole for taxes.
That's
so
such an L.
he took that money. He was spending it on himself and his new girlfriend, the girl that he left Mary J. Blige for, and she has to pay him $45,000 a month in alimony. I love it.
What an L. And then
More
he goes and dates younger and hotter.
Yep.
Is anyone on the line or no?
Yeah, we'll bring in Donnie. Guys, make sure to like the stream, subscribe. We just hit 2 million subs, so thank you everyone for subscribing. We really appreciate it. 2 million, let's go. All right, Donnie, Tyler.
And like the video.
Doing,
we're almost to 1,000 people in here. We should get everyone hit that like button. Sorry, who's on? Donnie?
Donnie,
yeah, it's me again. I was on the Memorial Day show. Thank you for having me again. I'll get to the point.
Sure.
I've never voted Democrat. Again, I grew up in Jersey. I was brought up to be a Democrat because I'm a person of color, but I was basically the black conservative experience. But honestly, I'm sick of voting Republican, to be honest. At least the Democrats will actually pander to women, put them in the platform. The only time men are actually mentioned in the Republican platform is keep men out of women's sports. No mention of men's issues at all. I mean, Governor DeSantis, he was the only one that actually tried to reform alimony and child support, and Republican women tried to ruin his career.
He is right about that. He's right.
So would you be open to voting Democrat next election?
I mean, never. Like, even though there have been great Democratic presidents like Grover Cleveland, who actually did care about the Constitution, and relatable working class Democrats like Harry Truman, whether it's economics, politics, civil rights, any reason, I may never vote Republican again because I'm so dissatisfied with them, but I really, really hate the Democratic Party. Other guys might for other reasons, but me personally, I could never see myself voting Democratic.
Daily Driver, thank you for the super chat. Is there anything that they could give you to earn your vote? Like if the Democrats said, I'll give you X, Y, and Z, what would it have to be?
Well, geez, I'll be quick. To get my vote, it wouldn't be worth it because the only way they could really get my vote would be they would have to reverse their sacred cow of abortion because even though I lean libertarian and I'm an atheist, I am actually still very much pro-life. Like, I don't believe innocent life should be terminated. It's as wrong as slavery. So they would literally have to do a complete 180, which they would never do for me.
Yeah.
So I yield. You can take me off. Add someone next. I want to be mindful, but thank you for having me.
Cool. Thanks for calling. Calling anytime.
Okay. We have.
You know.
Is it Yannick or Janik?
Janik? Sure. Bring him in.
Janik? Is it? Are you there? Your camera's on. Janik?
Hey, hang on. Let me just mute YouTube. Hi, Pearl.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Long time, first time.
Thanks for calling. So have you ever voted Democrat before?
Well, being Canadian, no.
No? Okay. Do you think
and
that...
living in Thailand, even less likely to have that happen.
Okay. So what did you think on the topic?
Well, I'm still rearing from the trauma of that video, to be quite honest.
If I'm tortured, you guys are tortured with me.
Oh my God! Why do you do this to us?
Yeah, because misery loves company. You guys are my company, so.
Touche. Yep. Okay. I fold on that one. Anyway, I wrote down everything I wanted to say to kind of keep it brief and not go into monologue too much.
Cool.
I've got two things. First of all, that traumatizing video. The one question you can ask fat people, and I lost 75 pounds, and that is a question at some point I was brought to ask myself, not so much by anything that happened to me personally, but I heard a doctor saying it on the radio that treated both athletes and fat fucks. I can say fuck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Athletes and fat asses. And the question to ask someone like this, that is so, I'm so wonderful, body positive, blah, 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 is very simple. How, and I'm going to not make it too graphic. I don't want you to get demonetized again. How do you accomplish your post-defecation cleansing?
How do you wipe?
Yeah. See, that I was trying to keep it clean on a dirty topic. There's a pun for you. But yeah, essentially, even if the person has no difficulty, the next time they do their business, it's going to come back to haunt them in their head.
Well, the thing with this girl is she's not going to make it past 30 with that weight. Yeah. Maybe 32, maybe. But so
her that may wake her up.
This is what I like to call a time-based problem. Time's going to go by. It's going to solve itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, true. You got to give a hats off to Darwin. I mean, he's never wrong. Anyway, that's just what I wanted to chime on that absolutely horridly disgusting videos. Pearl, I've seen you do a couple of reviews of Tom Leykis videos. Mm-hmm. I've seen Myron tweet at some point about inviting Tom Leykis. And Tom Leykis, I mean, for me, and I'm sure for many others, I don't want to speak in their name, but I'm damn sure you'll agree, was the one that put a lot of us, like he was the red pill before it was the red pill.
OG, yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Why is, and I mean, I'm asking you, Pearl, but I'm also asking everyone in the manosphere, why the hell isn't he on? Why aren't we interviewing him? If I had the cashola to do it, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But living in Thailand and being in the time zones and everything, I'd rather watch you guys. But that's just the point I'm putting.
Is he still active? I haven't heard of anything from him. It could be he's not doing media like appearances anymore.
He is on X.
Is he really?
But also,
he's super anti-Trump and a little woke. But I'm pretty sure getting him to open up on this, he was actually quite verbal when Kevin Samuels died.
Really?
He said something like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He didn't like Kevin Samuels at all. He said that Kevin Samuels was ripping off his act and stuff. Yeah.
What's his Twitter? What's his Twitter at? I'll send him a
either
DM.
blow me up, Tom, or Tom. Well, you can just search it, and it's easy to find.
I don't know. It's not coming up, but I'll look more after the show. But yeah, I'd love to have him on. I totally would. If he wants to come on.
All good. And with that, I'm done. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thanks.
Call it anytime.
I'm going to read the super chat, Doug. 2-year watcher, first time interacting with you, Pearl. A 2-part question. What woke you up to women's BS? And what fuels you to fight adversity, hit pieces, and Pierce Morgan? Love from Canada. Okay. I've always been conservative, but I would say, I grew up going to Sarah Palin. Like, I met Sarah Palin when I was like 12. I went to like a pro-life rally or whatever. So, I don't know. I've always been right-leaning, but I would say I started to wake up to women's BS when I interviewed 1,000 women. And I went through a lot of the things that you guys go through, like on dates and just like with women taking things personally. And like by the end, I almost felt like I dated a woman because of all of the BS. Like just they get offended and they're so spiteful. And really, once I got to like, when I would start like saying things from the point of view of a man, they started to treat me like one, dragging me to court, false accusations of stuff. Like it just never ended. The fuel. I don't know. I think it just comes from in me, to be honest. it's always been like growing up, I always felt deceived in a way because you just would learn like rewritten history and so it just really motivates me to have a channel that's as accurate as humanly possible. I'm human. I'm not saying I don't ever make mistakes, but I've always tried to leave like ideology out of things and just bring information that's accurate. So I think that's, I just love it. I love media. I love YouTube. And the last thing, sorry, that woke me up to it was the divorce documentary that I can't finish because, women ruined my life for a while, but it's going back up. But I will finish it eventually, but we got to fundraise. But anyway, so doing these divorce stories, I would just hear like the most awful stories, and I would see how women lied. And there was even, times where I realized that like men that growing up, I'd heard were abusive or I heard were this, weren't really that at all. Like there was a guy in the area that had the worst stories about him, and I realized the man was deployed. It was just the wife like spreading that everywhere. So that's the 2-prong approach. I hope that answered your question. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. It's the last day of the month. So the more super chats we get today, the better. The next one, I like that you asked for the sale, looking for your documentary. Yeah, thank you. Every super chat, all the money we make, it does go towards it. The better we can do as a company, the closer we can get to getting a full-time editor on staff that's just dedicated to this documentary. And that's really what I'm looking to do. So if you guys can, I'm streaming hard for you guys. So, okay. Doug MPA, we got anyone else on the line?
We actually have a full car line, but we're going to have to bring on an old friend because we haven't brought him on in a while. And you know who I'm talking about.
Okay, let's hear from him. I don't, but.
Hold on, here he comes. Gabe, how you doing, buddy? You're on mute. Gabe?
Hey, Gabe.
Turn the YouTube off in the background. You know how this goes.
I got it. Hello.
Hey, Gabe. Have you ever been a Democrat?
Well, I've mentioned before that I was raised in the liberal feminist capital of the world, San Francisco. So for the first 30 years of my life, I did vote Democrat, but what kind of changed, to answer the second part of the question, is getting sick and tired of the feminist agenda that has been very misandrous my entire life, and hearing every feminist that raised me how shitty men are and how much they hate men. We're all a bunch of pervs, predators, all that crap, and being mistreated by them, given dirty looks, and all the typical "don't look at me that way, my eyes are up here" 90s BS that I had to hear on a regular basis. This, that, the other. I made the mistake of coming out, quote unquote, as conservative recently to one of my former elementary school teachers, who then, kind of metaphorically speaking, hit me below the belt, and told me I was voting against myself, as if like people like her weren't voting against me my entire life.
Would there be anything?
Yeah.
Would there be anything that Democrats could do to possibly earn your vote?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so you left and you're done.
Yep, I'm done. But I will give, I do hear what you've said before, your criticisms about TradCons and all that, because I've had to learn the hard way recently through Charlie Kirk's club at my school that even TradCons can be just as ridiculous and nutty.
It's even worse.
Yeah,
It's
even worse.
Because liberals, what do they say? Nature makes everything poisonous, dangerous, bright colors and weird shapes to make them stand out. So liberals, especially liberal women, have the purple hair, septum piercings, and tattoos, so you can see them coming. But a lot of these TradCons, they look like regular people until they open their mouths and try to start shaming you. And a lot of times, they take the same tactics that liberals do.
Exactly, and I've seen that firsthand myself. I mean, especially as a late bloomer, a lot of the young idiot TradCons and just kids I go to school with in general. Although there's some cool ones though, some cool Gen Zers that I get along with. They act as if somebody like me has not been around the block a few times. I mean, and whatnot. So, yeah, but
got it.
Yeah, this is gonna be complicated for the foreseeable future, like politically or socially. I mean, for all of us, but I mean, for me,
no, it's not. It's not.
Oh.
Because men, look, society needs men.
Yeah.
And men are just going to disengage if we don't get what we want. See, we vote with our feet and our wallets. Women vote with their feelings. So
You're right. You're right.
It's not complicated. All men have to do is just keep disengaging until the whole thing falls apart.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in, Gabe. Call in anytime, okay? We're gonna move on to the next caller.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Ian says, Pearl, if you wind up interviewing or debating Olivia, I doubt it. I just called her fat for 45 minutes straight. But hey, miracles happen. Why should
I'm gonna reach out to her, Pearl. I'm gonna do it.
Why should any young men listen to you, knowing? Why should any young men listen to you, knowing your background, and why should any man trust you after seeing all the lies in real time? So I should ask her that. Okay, well, I'll see what she says. Thank you for the $20 super chat. I know you guys are very hardworking men, so I do appreciate every dollar that you guys send me. I really, really appreciate it. Eric Wade. Hi, Pearl in studio. I found this notification a few moments ago, but I do enjoy your content. Thank you. Christian, we have been saying in French, Pearl, love is blind, but marriage gives the sight right back. Cash, I'm not going to say your full username, but thank you for the super chat. Ian, correction, the U being the Democratic Party and who she represents. Yeah, totally fine. Okay, who's
AJ,
on the line? AJ?
Yeah, you guys saw the clip with her and that soy boy, right? Like, that is the Democrat Party, right?
Oh, AJ, how are you?
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. But yeah, you guys saw like the whole thing where she was talking about how she knows men and she's around a lot of frat guys. I mean, come on, that's so much cap. But think about how much estrogen was in that guy she was talking to, and how much cholesterol was in this chick, and that's the modern day Democratic Party, right? And she said that she was happy with her size. You know, she's lost 65 pounds and she's still that big.
I know. She said, would you guys be happy if I lost another 60? I'm like, 60? Yeah. Try 150.
Yeah. But she's like, oh, because I had never seen her older videos that you had brought up. But she's like, I'm happy in my size and I'm big and bold. But then she lost 65 pounds. And then she's trying to respond to her haters in her comments. Well, apparently the haters are doing something because she's lost 65 pounds. She could lose 200 more. But that shows how crazy that the left is, that the Democrats are. They spent $20 million to try and figure out us men. And then this knucklehead is trying to say that she's the one that's going to be able to get through to us. How?
Is there anything Democrats could do to earn your vote?
No.
Nothing?
No. Nope. There's no place for men on the left at all. At all. The only men that are accepted by the left are the ones interested are the Transformers. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, there's no reason you cannot be pro-male or masculine at all and be a Democrat. It's impossible. You can be an independent, you can be a Republican, you can just be a conservative, you know what I'm saying? But you cannot be a Democrat. You just can't.
Right.
Because any party, think about how insane this is. They're trying to say that it always boils down to their male allies, right? We need male allies for feminism. We need male allies for LDHTV. But you guys are all worthless, horrible pieces of trash until we need you. What is that? You can't. How are you going to con men into not just voting against their own interests, but actually using our labor against ourselves? That doesn't make any sense. If you're going to have a pack mule or an ox, you want to be nice to it, right? So it actually does what you say. But this is kind of like an analogy that I have. So imagine you have a cowboy and a horse, and they're walking through the Old West. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The cowboy needs the horse because he can't walk to the next town. He's out in the middle of the desert. What if the horse turns around and says, wait a minute, what am I getting out of this? And bucks the cowboy off and walks off. So the cowboy's cooked. You know what I'm saying? So the horse doesn't need the cowboy. The cowboy needs the horse. And all these feminists and stuff are making young men stop and ask, what am I getting out of this? Right. And they don't have an answer. They don't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And now they're always trying to say male allies, which once again, I think it was Andrew Wilson or someone has said that feminism in itself is nonsensical because they're applying to the patriarchy to try and take down the patriarchy. How does that make sense? So you need men to help you take down men, to appeal to men to take down what you think men are doing. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Democrats are cooked. They have no clue. They think that the midterms. And I used to be I grew up in, woke Washington State. You know what I'm saying? So I used to be, all on the left. And then I used to be into, I think I had told you that I was all part of that new atheist, all God is dumb type stuff, And then you look and you say, there's the battle lines drawn. and you're on your side, and you look to your left, and you look to your right, and you realize that the people next to you are all transformers and Kamala Harris, and you're like, I don't think I belong on this side.
It's true, 100% true.
Just think when they were saying, all you men need to step aside and let Jacqueline Harris take the lead. It's like, why? Why?
When was power ever given? It's always been taken in the past. And women literally expect men to give the world they built away. It's insane.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. And now you see Gen Z and men are the most conservative group there is. Now, like more so than Gen X or millennials, there's the biggest political gap between Gen Z women that are the most liberal and Gen Z men that are the most conservative. Gen Z men are not having it anymore. They aren't.
Yeah.
Cool.
They aren't.
Okay.
Well, thanks for calling in, AJ.
Oh, I would laugh if you actually managed to get that chick on the show. And just make sure to use like a wide lens. So you can get her
I don't know if she'll
picture.
fit in the. I don't know if she'll fit.
Yeah.
And get an extra heavy duty chair for the studio.
I'm gonna read the super chats. Thanks for calling
All right,
in.
guys. Bye,
I know
guys.
this makes you laugh. How do you know your wife is dead? Sex is the same, but the dishes keep piling up in the sink.
That's pretty good.
Okay, TradCons never place accountability to the women. They want marriage back, but women must listen to men. Yeah, and women aren't going to do that. Do you consider yourself black-pilled? If one is black-pilled and red-pilled and hyper-realistic, is there a risk of the dampening effect? Like the idea, whether you can or you can't, you're right. Thoughts? When I say I'm black-pilled, I think society, like the trends are just going to keep going. But I'm a positive person and I'm going to figure it out. That's how I feel. I'm a positive person. I'm going to figure it out. Life is good, but society is going the way it's going. Simps are going to keep simping. Whores are going to keep whoring. This traditional patriarchy is not coming back in my lifetime, so don't plan on it and make plans accordingly. Like, for example, you could be black-pilled and say, you know what, false accusation laws are there forever. It's always going to happen. But a pragmatic approach is put cameras in your apartment. Boom, Ring camera, problem solved. So that's how I view it.
I'm going to ask you a question, Pro. Why is it that conservatives are smart enough to get like a Tommy Lauren? All of the fake TradCon, closet feminists are at least hot. But the Democrats have this bridge troll out there.
They could have, and a lot of Democrat women, when they're young, I mean, they ruin themselves and make themselves ugly, but there had to be a hot 18, 20. Like, do you know that girl that had a nip slip at the Charlie Kirk event? They should have made her their influencer to talk to men. That would be a great option.
Good answer. All right, I'm going to let in D-Love. Give him a second. He's coming in. Guys, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 3 million now. So
woohoo!
Hit the like button and subscribe. D-Love, are you there? Unmute, please.
Hello?
Yep. Is D for Derek or what should I call you?
You can call me Devontae. It's just D-Love is just my first and last name abbreviated.
Okay, cool. Were you a Democrat, Devontae?
I was back, in elementary school when Obama won. We were all happy because he was the first Black president. But that's the only time I could really remember I was a Democrat. I didn't really know any better.
So as an adult, you were always a Republican?
Yes, I started getting into alternative media. Started watching conspiracy theories. I don't do that anymore, but then I started getting into Steven Crowder.
Oh, he's great.
Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens.
So Is there anything that like Democrats could do to earn your vote back?
No, I don't think so, because anything they do attempt could be, like, I would look at them with a side eye. Could be done in the name of anything like that. So I would say no.
Okay.
I just,
And what made you leave? Was there like a specific issue or video that made you leave the Democratic Party or change your mind?
it was a series of things, like Black Lives Matter. For one of them was, I was at one of my an old job, arguing with someone over, Trayvon Martin, Black Lives Matter, and this is before I even knew the difference between Democrat and Republican. But it was just, a series of research, and like most people, I got tired of the narrative, the Black victimhood and stuff like that. So that just kind of pushed me away.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm just calling to get my spiel. Oh,
great.
Someone
Well,
said something?
thanks for calling in. Call in anytime, okay?
All right, thank you. Take care.
Thanks.
Hey, next we have.
I'm going to read the
Carla.
super chat really
Okay.
quick first. Last thing, why aren't the Democrats talking to working class men, only college frat boys? Democrats are treating men like a college course that has to be solved and studied. UCGA and Better Bachelor, please spotlight this. That'd be an interesting video if I went out this week and like talked to working class men about, like if I went to.
This is going to be another example. So, most black men who are educated and on the way up, right? We encountered white liberal women who we don't fit what they learned in their African American studies class in college, because we're not victims. We didn't come from the hood. We speak well. And so they try to do this weird kind of audit thing, like, who are you and why don't you fit what I learned in college? Understand what I'm saying? And that's exactly what the Blob is going to figure out when she goes out to talk to regular men. Regular men are just honest guys trying to make a living. They care about their community, care about their families and stuff. And she's been going to college with this indoctrination that the patriarchy and men are so privileged and stuff. But she's going to learn. Watch.
Damn. Who's next?
We have Carlos.
Carlos, how's
are
it
you there?
going?
Carlos, you're on mute. Carlos?
I'm here. I apologize.
Carlos, where are you calling out of? What part of the country?
Indiana.
Oh, cool. You're kind of close. We're in the Midwest. Have you ever been Democrat?
I'll be completely honest. I've never voted in my life.
Oh, really? Why not?
You remember Nelson from The Simpsons?
Mm-hmm.
You know how he did point his finger and just laughed? That's how I look at politics these days. But even though I've never voted, I talked to you like a month and a half ago. So I'm the single father of 4 kids.
Oh, okay.
It's like I had, let's say, like some liberal traits, like look at it, like kind of like praising women, especially my ex-wife, like being a super mom. And now that I'm a single father of 4 kids, I'm just like, it's not that hard. it's not that hard. It really isn't. So women praise single mothers and all this other stuff, and I'm just, come on now.
Do you know what I think it is? I think women get stressed over like stupid, like if the house isn't like perfect, but the kids are fine, the dad is like, okay, it's fine. But the women will just get so like worked up over things that aren't that big of a deal. Or maybe you
know.
I mean,
go ahead.
One of the biggest female okey dokes, guys. You got to make sure not to get nagged in your own house. And how you do that is women will automatically try to make the house into their domain with their rules, and men just hand it over to them. So women, they want the house to be their way. They take the whole house over, but then they get mad at you when you don't contribute to her idea of the house. Just don't let that happen. Understand what I'm saying? Say, look, it's my way. Say, I'm gonna do things my way, not your way, my way. But they'll become master of the domain and then freaking abuse you because they took over that role. And I'm one of those where whatever you choose to do it in perpetuity. You don't see guys mowing the yard and doing oil changes on the car for 10 years and then going to their wife and saying, honey, you never helped me with the yard. You never helped me change the tire. Men don't do that, but women will. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, but I was actually, you put a video out today, Pearl, about the child support enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that whole thing, and I'm just like, a lot of the stuff that he was saying is true. And like he said, there's not a lot of men that are in position to get child support for the woman, but I am. I get child support for my ex-wife, not right now, but she's behind like 12 grand in child support. If that were me, if that were me, I'd be sitting in jail. And I talked to the prosecutor for child support. He defends my ex-wife more than he defends me.
What did he say?
He told me, oh, well, she's trying to do everything. She's trying to do everything. She was in an abusive relationship and all this other stuff. I was like, that's a choice. I'm taking care of 4 kids myself. And I said this in front of the judge. I told him, I was like, look, I told the judge, I was like, look, he's defending her more than he's defending me. And this, like in Indiana, or at least in the county I live in, there's a separate judge for family court and child support court.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the guy, I found like the guy, he's the child support judge. It's a man, but the only reason he got in there is because he started leaning more into that liberal side, because the town that I live in is very liberal. Like Indiana is a red state, and I live in Bloomington, Indiana, where IU University is Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the main campus is, and it's very liberal, DEI, woke, whatever that stuff is. So effectively, Bloomington is the black eye of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, just listening to that whole video that you put on with that child support enforcer, I'm like, man, I see it, and I got lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually did a paywall about how to use the system against women. So if anyone, there's immoral things on there, not illegal. If you guys go into the first link in the description, it's in that course. Do you think that there's anything Democrats could do to win your vote or to get you to vote?
Man, like I said, I laugh at both sides. I don't vote. It doesn't matter to me, but I see the distinctions of both sides. I'm not a person that I really don't care. As long as my life is good, I'm fine.
Mm. Cool. Well, thanks for calling in, Doug MPA. You got any other questions for him?
Nope. Thanks for calling in, man. And freaking get that child support, man. Put her in jail.
Get her.
It's not happening. They're not going to do it.
Dang, that sucks. All right, buddy. Call in anytime, okay?
Right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Next up, we have Daquan. He's coming in a second. Hit that like button, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Daquan, are you there?
What's going on, Daquan?
Daquan going once. Daquan going twice. I'm putting you back in the waiting room. I'll try you after this next person, okay? Because you got to be ready when we call you. Okay, we're going to do Jackson is coming in. It says connecting audio.
Yep. Can you hear me?
What's going on, Jackson?
Hey.
How are you?
I am doing okay-ish. Second time calling in.
Okay.
So,
Where are you calling out of?
Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Okay, cool. And have you ever been a Democrat?
I have not. I don't really understand how any man ever was, to be honest with you, because although it's gotten worse, I would say if you think about it, the Democratic Party is basically about loving what men hate and hating what they love. And I think you see this very clearly with this woman who you were talking about today, where it's like she holds absolutely zero appeal to any red-blooded man. What she says is not interesting.
You
Way
put
she
that so
looks is
tactfully.
terrible. It's like
They could have at least given her big boobs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, exactly.
She has big everything.
like if you're gonna give a woman,
yeah, but she doesn't
that-
have big boobs proportionally, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, she basically is just like the embodiment of male repellent. And so there's that, and then there's also a point that Matt Walsh made that I have my differences with Matt Walsh for sure, and I know you do too, Pearl. But one point he made that I thought was very good and related to what we're talking about is he said when Democrats try to talk to men, they're actually talking to women. Like, for example, you might remember during the campaign with Kamala Harris and Trump, you had this video that went on TikTok where it was like all these men who were supporting Kamala Harris and they were saying, I'm a man and I'm this and that. It was very cringy. And one of the things they're like, well, but you know what I sure as hell am not afraid of is women. I think a woman should be president. You know, you have all the cats you want and everything like that. These men were saying. And on TikTok, it did get a lot of positive comments because a lot of TikTok is a left-wing dumpster fire. But you'll notice they were all from women. They're saying, yeah, this is great. This is great. And that's because, like Matt was saying, when they're talking to men, they're really talking to women. So it's interesting, even though it seems very absurd, I actually am not surprised that they're spending $20,000 trying to learn how to speak to men, because there is a fundamental, very basic level disconnect there, I would say.
Yeah.
But I don't expect they'll be successful in figuring it out. First, that's for sure.
$20 million, you'd think.
Yeah, I don't think because here's the other thing. To actually appeal to men goes against their sort of their entire it goes against their entire philosophy. Like, can you imagine a Democrat politician ever saying, you know, feminism has not been good or something like that? I mean, that would, their whole base would completely reject that. The most they could ever get, which even this would be really tough for them, would be a Democrat saying something like feminism might have gone a little too far or something really weak sauce like that. But even that would rile enough people in their base against them. So I'm actually a little bit white-pilled on this point, because I think they're continuing to go towards, you know, destruction. I'm glad that they have this woman as their spokesperson to try to talk to men.
Is there anything that they could do to earn your vote? Like if they said X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, well, what they would have to do is completely change their philosophy.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that.
They're not going to do that. They'd have to, because the other thing that I think is interesting about them is what we're talking about, just basically how awful the Democrats are. You know, you've rightly pointed out a lot of problems in conservatism and the TradCon movement, and I feel like the reason men vote on the right, a lot of it is simply that they're not as bad, they're not as overtly hostile. That's why I think it's a huge mistake when we see things like Liz Wheeler trashing men for playing video games and that kind of thing, because that's basically the right trying to test the waters with being with this anti-male thing, and how much of it can we get away with, since the Democrats have already gone too far with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they're still appealing to women too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
I agree, man.
Yeah. Christian says, one last edgy joke, Pearl. Are you guys ready for an edgy joke? What is the best part of fellatio? 15 minutes of silence.
pretty funny.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
No problem. Okay.
Have a good one.
Why do people? I've gotten this my whole media career. Someone says Pearl has a joint and she's not sharing. Is it my eyes? Like, why do I've gotten this even when I was younger? They were like, "You look high." I've never been a stoner, guys. It's just never been my thing. I don't know.
Okay, so we have independent thinker. I had to mute you because you have the YouTube going on in the background. You're independent Aquaman in the chat. You are up. You're on the show, but you have to turn the YouTube off and you have to unmute. Okay. Unmute, please. Independent thinker, unmute.
Going once. Going twice.
Going twice. I'm going to put you back in the waiting room on 3. Okay, I'll put you back, but I'll try to bring you up after the next person. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Wait, did we just get a big donation? Oh, we got $1,000 donation for the documentary. Thank you, BR Merrick. $1,000.
Detox.
Wow. It's on the GoFundMe if you guys want to,
Oh, nice.
Detox is on.
Detox, are you there? Guys, you got to be ready if you're in the Zoom. You got to be ready. Detox going once. Detox going twice. I'm putting you back in the waiting room. Okay, so I'm going to try independent thinker again. Give it 1 second. Independent thinker, you there? You're on mute. Independent thinker going once. Independent thinker going twice. All right, I'm putting you back in the waiting room.
You casually roasting everyone is why I love you. Thank you, Gentle on James.
Next up, we have Harry. Harry, you're on mute.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Harry. Where are you calling out of?
I'm actually calling out of Philly.
Cool. So what do you think of the topic? Have you ever been a Democrat?
So actually, this was the first time I ever voted Republican in
No
2024 last year. Yeah, I always voted Democrat. I voted for Hillary, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. Yeah, I voted for all the wrong people, and this time I voted for the right person.
And what made you Democrat before? Were your family Democrat? Institution, personal beliefs? What made you lean that way?
Yeah, like Philly mostly is Democratic for the most part, majority, and then family and everything just kind of swayed me. They taught me the wrong things. They were like, oh, Democrats are for poor people and Republicans are for rich people, and I grew up poor, so it was like we automatically had to be Democratic. So I was just taught the wrong things. But friends and stuff woke me up. They put me on to people like you, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk. The people that. The guys before me mentioned, and just getting information from conservative podcasters like yourself have just opened my eyes up. And now I'm just like, wow, I can't believe how I used to vote.
Wow. And so do you think there's anything they could do to win you back? Because you'd be considered a swing voter.
If they ban abortion and blue hair dye, maybe.
And blue hair dye. Wait, and what age did you switch parties?
So I'm 45 right now. And so I was 44 the first time I voted Republican. So Al Gore, Barack, Drone Obama, and like I said, Hillary and Sleepy Joe, I voted for all them knuckleheads.
Dang.
One of the things that I don't like is when you say that you voted on the left in the past, but now you vote on the right, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's like, guys, come on." If you're from the coast and you leave, like most men on the coast vote blue.
Really?
And then, oh yeah, Washington, Oregon, California, New York, 100%.
Yeah, New York. So, Baltimore, Philly.
Yeah, yep. So it's when we finally leave those echo chambers that we're like, oh man, that was a mistake. So, I actually like hearing a person that can realize that they made a mistake in the past, because they're going to be the ones that are going to be able to convince other people to make the same choice they did. Understand what I'm saying? Like to leave the Democratic plantation behind and actually vote for your actual interest as a man.
It's kind of funny how I got turned on to it. You know, I was having trouble with the women, like everything you've been talking about, Pearl, like all the stuff they do to just drive us crazy. And somebody told me to like, hey, check out the whatever podcast. I think you'll enjoy it because they discuss like the issues you have while you're dating. And that just kind of started the rabbit hole. Then I got introduced to Andrew Wilson because I saw him on there. Then I heard about Fresh and Fit. Then I heard about you. I heard about Candace. I heard about Charlie Kirk. And then I was just like, wow, where was all this before? It took to I was 44 years old to finally like see the other side and you know, get educated on this stuff the correct way, not all this feminist bullcrap that's taught in college.
Cool. Well, thanks for calling in. I love hearing different stories from different perspectives. So that's really interesting. Doug,
I appreciate it.
Doug MPA, you got any other questions for him?
Nope. All right.
Call in anytime, okay?
Yeah, he's on already.
Okay.
All right, let's try it. This guy's been independent thinker. This is your last time, buddy. You better be ready, because in the chat you keep saying, "Bring me on, bring me on, bring me on." I have you in here again, but if you don't answer in 3 seconds, I'm gonna kick you off the call. Going once, going twice.
I am here.
There you are.
Where are you calling out of, independent thinker?
Canada.
Nice.
But I'm an atypical Canadian. Won't get into that's off topic.
Well, let me just first say to all the Canadian brothers and Australian brothers, I have to recognize that you made another day in those feminist hellholes. So good job for you.
Thanks. Before I was born, I was conceived by, which I found out not until I was about 30 years old, but a hardcore feminist mom. Lots of drama there. She was going to abort me. That's what I found out then. But her aunts, so my grandma's sisters, refused to let her. And because of where out in the rural area she was, etc., there was no way for her to succeed. So she tried multiple times to abort me. Miscarry me. And I was born early by a couple of months because of this, yada, yada, I won't get into that. Anyway, so because of her doing the whole feminist thing when I was age 9, instead of me being passed around through the many different relatives that my grandparents had kids of, she had a couple of them become legal guardians. Then, as I said, when I was 30 years old, I eventually moved in with her, and I found out she was worse than I thought. And then after all that stuff, in 2006, I went to a liberal university, even prides itself in being liberal. That's where I found out a whole bunch of crazy things. And then in 2010, it was confirmed with a different university from some women. Long story short there, when I had conversations with them, I eventually asked, okay, because I used to, in the between the two, I used to do telemarketing. So I learned how to rebuttal objections. I asked, okay, so based on what you're saying here, if I were to make it concise, is this what I was trying to seek clarification. Is this what you're saying? Not that you want equality, because your version of equality, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I asked these university women, is that for the same, or at least the same thousands of years that men supposedly had all the rights in the world and that women supposedly had none of the rights in the world, that you want to have men now have no rights in the world and women have all the rights in the world. And after that, then there's equality. And they said yes. And then when they got back to me with the professors, they no longer call equality. They changed the term to equity.
Wow.
I got a lot more, but that's the shortest version.
So is there a Democrat Party in Canada?
Well, not technically Democrat. The equivalent would be, Well, that depends. Okay, so the 1990s version of the Democrats, well, more like the 2000s, would be similar to what we call in Canada the Liberal Party of Canada. Then there's an even further, the modern day Democrat Party of Canada.
I don't need too in depth.
I'm almost done. Okay.
No. I try to keep this concise. So I was just curious if they could win your vote, if there was something they could do to win your vote.
Yes, but they won't do the things that I would consider. I'm willing to compromise in certain things, but not.
Okay. So what would be your three things they could do to win your vote?
Okay, go back to, if they were to go back to what their standards were back in the 1980s.
Okay.
Then, and if the supposedly right-wing parties, there isn't really one, there's sort of one, but anyway, if they were not a suitable option, if this Liberal Party were to do that, then I would then choose the Liberal Party one.
Okay.
Cool. Well, we still have a full call list, so thank you.
Understood.
For calling in. And thanks for finally getting your sound thing together.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
You take care of you southern neighbors.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Pasty George says, I'm from Canada and I'm a First Nations Cree. Feminism is still a major problem here and in Canada as it is in the U.S. The Manipulated Man by Esther Villar is an eye-opener for sure. Cool. Doug MPA.
Okay. Let's bring on Lance. Lance, are you there? You're on mute.
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Hey, Lance, where are you calling out of?
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Oh, cool. So have you ever voted Democrat? Isn't it pretty liberal out there?
It's terrible out here. I freaking hate it, honestly. Man. I don't know. I think I was at one point in my life, I was young and dumb, but the military really influenced my voting.
Okay, so you voted Democrat when you were younger?
I mean, I was overseas, so politically I wasn't even really involved until the whole Trump versus Hillary, and I was like, hell no to that. And I voted Trump so quick, so yeah, that's where I'm at. And I voted Trump again this last election. Thank God he won, and I voted when he lost too. So yeah.
So is there anything that the Democrats could do to earn your vote?
To be completely honest, no. I would say no, because I mean everything the Democrats pretty much stand for is like just debauchery and garbage, in my opinion. All they ever do is like promote degeneracy in all aspects of life. So I'm like, why do I want to be a part of a political party that does something like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I just can't. I can't see myself voting Democrat, honestly.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, Colorado's going to shit, to be honest with you. I got here in 2013 from being overseas, and it has just gotten worse with the influx of liberals coming out of California.
Yeah, it's they during the cough, they all went to Austin, and then they went to the Denver area after that.
Yeah.
So it's just full of Californians, man. I was there multiple times last year. It was ridiculous.
It is, man. It's terrible. It's like pretty much California with mountains. It sucks, man. It's like every chick has blue hair and a septum piercing, and it's like, oh fuck, man.
Yeah, I heard they're all. My sister is out there, and she says they're all lesbians. The women. Is that true?
Yeah, it seems like it's either that or they're fat. It's like you would be surprised of like the amount of fat women that are in Colorado, and it's like a health state, you know.
Or also, Denver's one of those cities where it's like my hometown in Washington State, where you see so many pretty women if they just didn't live in Colorado. You know what I'm saying? But all these women, they want to make themselves ugly to fight the patriarchy and the male gaze. And it's like, what are you doing? You know how pretty you'd be if you put some effort into yourself and lost a little bit of weight? God. Nothing worse than like a liberal waist of pretty. It's the worst.
It is, man. And it's like putting a bumper sticker on a Ferrari. And it's like, hey, man, what the fuck are you doing? You know? And it's like, I've seen girls that like don't shave their armpits and they wear crop tops. And it's like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. The only thing good is that you meet a lot of women in those cities who are, so the only time those women will submit to a man is in bed. So a lot of those women are really good in bed, but then you got to get them to leave afterwards. But
just start
getting them there is
super
a
hard.
headache, and then hanging out with them afterwards is a headache. But you know, sleeping with the actual sex part is actually pretty good.
Just start acting like the biggest simp after. Be like, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you.
Yeah, but it's like soul crushing if you do that. You're just like, oh man, it hurts your, you know, it hurts your heart acting like that.
I know, but then
like,
she'll leave, right? And that.
I mean, there was one girl I dated, and this was like during the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing, and she just looked at me in the face, and she was just like, I believe Amber Heard, and I was just like, oh my god, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I was like,
or I heard women during that time, you know, in the city I live in, there had to have been something there. I just can't believe that Johnny did nothing. There had to have been something there. It's like, what are you talking about? No.
Yeah, crazy. It's like, dude, she's shitting into the guy's bed, man. That bitch is crazy. Like, who fucking does that?
The sad part about it is all these women know a crazy woman just like her.
Yeah,
but they have to defend her no matter what.
They pretend they know their fucking girlfriend's crazy. They're like, yeah, that bitch is crazy, but I'm gonna defend the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Well, thanks for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good one.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Okay, we're gonna do. Guys, make sure to like the video, subscribe. We're on the way to 3 million. So subscribe if you haven't already. We have Ian. Are you there?
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good one. Thank you.
Turn the YouTube off, Ian.
You guys are killing me with this YouTube. Are you there, Ian?
Yes, thank you very much for your time, first and foremost. And secondly, yeah, thank you. So
where are you calling out of?
The great state of New York, or what we're calling now Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
Slovakia.
Are you in the city or outskirts?
I'm actually in upstate New York right now. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I live in the 7th tier. I don't want to say exactly what city.
Okay, no problem. So have you ever voted Democrat, being that you're in New York?
So basically my story is being both Black and Puerto Rican, so I'm mixed. I did fall for the whole falling of hope and change, and we're gonna do it again, and doing all that. And I did vote for Obama twice, but then seeing what Trump was doing, and I was a bit hesitant. I voted for Hillary. Then for the next one, I voted no confidence in my state. So I'm probably one of the 0.2000%, what have you, that voted in my state no confidence between Biden and Trump. And then for this third time around, I did vote for Trump all the way.
Okay. So was there a specific issue that made you switch, like immigration, taxes?
I'm actually two things. First off, I am a truck driver. So that is my main job. And between that time, since 2017, I have been trying to come into the space of YouTube and trying to become a talking head. But I realized that me being a talking head is not the best thing, even though I do like what you see with the super chats, the things that I've said to you towards the super chats. My position would be more beneficial if I'm here for the rebuild. I see what's going on. I can see what's going on eventually. Then what can I do as someone that's in logistics, as a truck driver, seeing people, young men and women that are coming up? What can I say to these people? What can I tell them to actually say, hey, build a business here, there, and there. I know this guy, I know this person, I know this person. You know, New Yorkers, it's a stereotype of us where it's just like, I know a guy, I know a person. So that's where I'm at right now. And that's where I'm actually trying to build towards. I'm not trying to build towards what you're doing specifically, Pearl, and respect to what you're doing. I'm seeing the aftermath of the win or loss of what the culture war is going to be, how we're going to preserve ourselves to actually be sustainable.
Yeah, so what was the issue that changed your opinion?
Oh, just the mere fact of all the lies.
Okay.
Is the mere fact, the one final thing that did it for me was the case that happened in our state. Well, both cases concerning the Letitia James, how now she's actually being up for charges for the same thing that she charged Trump for. And secondly, how do you charge a man for, we're on YouTube, and I want to respect your channel.
Okay.
Growing a grape farm. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. So
that's one thing.
Is there anything that the Democrats could do to earn your vote back?
Oh, no. I'm now a registered Republican. Even when I moved out my state for a year, I registered Republican. If anything, and because the Democrats and liberals and leftists love this, as a Black Puerto Rican, I will be actually making it my life's mission, and also as a blue-collar guy, to make sure I run to every person that thinks they want to vote Democrat to tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially the fact of, I'm 42. I'm going to be 43 in July.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I'd like to actually have a family and kids and all that. It's not just affecting the young kids. It's affecting all of us older guys and older ladies. I have a best friend who's 43 now, just turned, who is staunch Republican. I have another friend that's 43 she is the most liberal person you will meet. They are my left and my right, but they can't build families. And it's like the people that are against us don't see the macro of our society, especially in the state.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
I appreciate the time. Thank you. Good luck. Kick ass, take names.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll take two more. Go to... And guys, that was not Pearl in the chat. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, I know.
It was a troll, so we totally blocked that person. That wasn't Pearl, though.
Yeah. It says, I agree with some of the things that Trump is doing and others I do not. In Canada, a lot of idiots voted for Carney, and he stated that he would stand up to Trump. But as soon as he got in as prime minister, he submits on day one. LMFAO. Eric, where are you at? I think Eric left. Oh,
He's
no.
there. I can see him.
He's coming back.
Eric,
how's it going?
All right, I'm dropping him out.
He's here.
This is Eric Wade here.
He's here.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Nice, you play guitar?
I forgot that.
Holy shit.
I forgot that you have to unmute your. I forgot you have to unmute your microphone down there in the lower left.
You got a ton of guitars in the background.
Yeah, I have 35 of them. I'm kind of rabid on guitars.
Really? How long have you been playing?
Since I was 12. I'm 62 now.
Oh my God, you got to be. I almost want to tell him to do a riff or something.
Yeah, no, I'm no Randy Rhoads. I've had some accidents that messed up my nerves and stuff, so I just kind of plink around on them.
Okay, but, what state are you out of?
I'm in Sedona, Arizona.
Oh, okay, cool. So
I have to ask you real fast. So I always recommend there's a guitar player named Tosin Abasi. Have you heard of him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. One of my favorite bands, man. He's the best.
Yeah, I consume most of my music on YouTube now. But I guess that's not bad for a 62-year-old, freaking dinosaur. But
You get points for knowing that band. Good job.
yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, one of the reasons I called in is I wanted to ask Pearl whether or not I might be her oldest fan.
62? No, I think
Yeah,
I think I've gotten emails from guys in their 70s or 80s before.
Well, that's just because they want to get in your pants. I mean, I actually watch your videos.
I don't know, man.
Anyway, to answer your question, I've never voted Democrat and never will. Like the first chance I got to vote when I turned 18 was for Ronald Reagan, even though I was about to go into college and he said he was going to kill the Pell Grant program. There was no way I was going to vote for Walter Mondale.
Nice. And was there ever a time when you were close to voting Democrat? Like you thought about it?
I was in the voting booth back in 2008 or 12. I can't remember which election it was. But my ex-wife told me that if I didn't vote for Obama, I was a racist and I would have to sleep on the couch for the rest of our marriage. So I kind of wavered. I was like, well, let's see. Is it that important? And then I voted for John McCain.
And then you found the red pill, right?
Well, no, yeah. I don't know. I was raised in a Marine Corps family. I was fairly black-pilled by the time I graduated high school.
Oh, really?
So the red pill was news to me. I didn't know there was one until after I divorced her. And I discovered Barbarossa and Spetsnaz and Coltrane and C.S. MGTOW and all that. And
nice.
I'm sorry all those channels are gone because they were philosophical. I mean, one of the things I don't care for about the MGTOW community is that it attracted so many frustrated, angry content creators that they kind of stunk up the room, so to speak, whereas the original MGTOW guys were just like, look, dude, here's the deal, pay your money, take your chances, right? But I don't know if you are old enough to remember those days, but I think the biggest mistake the MGTOW community made was inviting in, essentially a battalion of very angry dudes who just say mean things about women.
See, I'm gonna push back on that because here's the thing. I think that you're still trying to hold men to some moral higher standard, and I don't do that anymore. I don't. This whole thing where men need to be better than that. I don't think so.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Because I'm gonna say, even the MGTOW community has only had a voice in like the last 10 years versus 40, 50 years of unfiltered, unchallenged, unmitigated misandry. The only way that someone can say, "Oh, we let a bunch of," is if you're still trying to hold men to a higher standard than women. We used to do that, and women called that patriarchy. So no. Now men are fighting fire with fire. In fact, we still can't say everything women say. Women can say men are trash on television. Men can't. So even the angriest guys that you're talking about still don't compare to daytime television. Sorry.
Well, true. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that, and I concede the point. I mean, certainly I've never heard a man on YouTube say kill all women, but it's one of the things I've come to accept being the, youngest child, the only boy in a family with a whole bunch of older sisters, is that a lot of times in the height of their emotion, women say stuff that's over the top. And you know, you can take it for what it is. You can get upset about it. You know, you can freak out and post a video on MGTOW.com, you know, whatever. But, you know, I just miss the original philosophers was my point. And it's not like they were telling men to man up either. You know, they really weren't. They were basically just describing the world and the social landscape, I guess, in a way that educates dudes who would, you know, be inclined to put on a shirt that says the future is female and don a pussy hat and march in a feminist parade hoping to get laid. You know, and there's plenty of guys like that out there. I've known some of them where you like they parrot feminist causes thinking they're going to score points with the girls, and it never works as far as I know.
So is there anything that the Democrats could do to win your vote?
Well, they could all hop on one of Elon Musk's starships and fly to Mars. I'd vote for that.
No policy they could put forward to make you vote for them?
Even if they adopted conservative policies, I would consider it a chameleonic move just to win my vote, and I still wouldn't vote for them.
Got it.
Yeah, because that's what they do. That's what they're doing right now, trying to reach out to men. You know, it's like, oh, wow, where you been since John F. Kennedy?
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I would have, if had he survived, and I was old enough to vote, I would have voted for John F. Kennedy, and I'm going to sound like a simp here, just to see Jackie on the cover of Vogue again. You know? Those days were different, you know, and like when I grew up in, you know, Coronado, California, and later Santa Barbara in the late 60s through the 70s. And man, I remember the color block dresses and the go-go boots and, you know, like my mom would have parties with the other Marine Corps and Navy wives, and it was like it was like being Austin Powers, 8 years old. I'm sitting on the end of the couch with all of these freaking hot Navy and Marine Corps wives. And, you know, they're all jabbering about whatever. And I just remember how fascinating they were, you know, and like when I was a kid, I thought my dream job would have been to do something like Alan Snyder, who he was a makeup artist for 20th Century Fox, and used to travel with Marilyn Monroe just doing her makeup. And I was like, wow, what a cool job. You know,
get to meet all our hot friends too.
Right, because we had cosmopolitan issues all over the place. And even though I typically just read history and biology and stuff like that, you know, I was a kid, dinosaurs. You know, I'd pick up a magazine and I saw that article about Whitey Snyder, and I was like, wow, that's a dream job. I mean, the guy had a freaking 59 Cadillac Brougham or whatever they call it, Eldorado, and lived in Malibu. I'm like, they pay you that much just to pretty up actresses? Sign me up, you know. But of course, I didn't pursue something like that. I did the usual thing, you know.
Well, in the next life, my friend. In the next life,
right.
I think it's gonna happen for you. All right, buddy. We're gonna
hopefully in the next life, all of the women won't look like the new Democrat Party spokesperson.
Well, thanks for calling in. Okay, call in anytime.
You guys
have a good one. Bye bye.
On to the next guy.
We haven't had one guy that said his vote could be bought. I don't know, man.
Last person is going to be
the new Democrat Party.
Cornellionaire.
Cornellionaire, hey, how's it going?
Good, dude. Turn the YouTube off in the background, please.
I just paused it.
Great.
Cool.
Where are you calling out of?
I am in Florida.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
You ever voted Democrat out there?
I have never voted Democrat. When I was young and dumb, I actually wrote in Ralph Nader for the 96 election.
Oh, that was the year I was born.
Oh, perfect. Awesome, thanks. But
that was the day I was born. It's my birthday.
It was the day you were born?
Yeah, I was
born.
The
election?
Yeah, I was
Wow.
born to be political, I think.
Oh, yes. That was your star sign was politics or whatever.
Yeah. What
Very nice.
Okay, so when did you but you've always been conservative.
Yes, I did not vote in 2000, which was awful because we won Florida by 538 or something like that, which, yeah. But yes, I voted conservative every election.
Cool. Is there anything they could do to win your vote? Like if they came out and said, this is our new platform, it has X, Y, Z, could they put anything?
No, not, I mean, if they went back, I mean, the last Democrat, Kennedy, he was more of a Republican. I think the last person that talked about Kennedy as well, JFK. But no, there's really nothing that I can think of right now. If they went more conservative, I mean, they were against illegal immigration, 20 years ago, and they're not anymore. So, they just keep going further and further left.
Yeah. Doug MPA, you got anything to ask him?
I do not. We're going to wrap this up because we're going past 2 hours.
Cool.
Perfect. All right.
Thanks
a lot.
for calling in.
Yep. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
I saw super chats. I'm trying to bring them up, but it's not loading on this page. Let me see if I can go. Guys, at the end of the month, I've gotten a lot of supers this show. Thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to read the last ones. Doug MPA, it's kind of interesting. We haven't gotten one person that said that they would switch for something. But I want to tell a story though.
Go ahead.
So one of my most unlikely friends is very, very liberal. He's been on the show. He's a guitar teacher, and he always says he's not liberal, but it's some sect of liberal that to any conservative, it would still be liberal. Does that make sense? Like, when
Yes.
people say like, I'm not a Republican, I'm this, I'm that, but it's like, so just to be accurate. Anyways, but I asked him once, I said, because he's very into the animal rights stuff. And I said, would you ever vote for, because he doesn't like Trump. And I'm like, would you ever vote for Trump if you made $5,000 more a month and you knew that was going to like increase your salary every month? And he said, no, that's immoral. I wouldn't vote for Trump. Right. And I was like, okay, fine. Fair morals, the animals, whatever. So I said $20,000 a month extra that you'd be making. Would you at that point say, and I said, I'm going to give you an example of something I feel like this about. And I said, I think that abortion's very immoral. The way I view abortion is probably very similar to how you view the vegan whatever. But if Republicans came out with a candidate and that candidate said, we're going to have abortions up to birth, but you get to make this much money a month and you give me X, Y, and Z. I can't remember what I said at the time, but it was like 3 issues that I cared more about than abortion. The abortion would really gross me out and it's terrible. But I was like, you know what? These women are going to kill their kids anyway. Fuck them. Like, in the most respectful way I could say that, right? So, and I would give that up. And I said, okay, for you, what about not money? Let's say the Trump administration invests in opportunity. And now you get to do the arts. You get to be in a play with Ariana Grande. And I sold this to him. And you know what he said? He said, do you know what? I'm gonna give that up. He said I would vote Republican. And I feel like everybody's got a bargaining chip.
Well, even when I was a liberal in my 20s, because I have 2 degrees in policy. So if they say, Doug MPA, we need you to go on like a conservative news channel and talk trash about liberals all day, but we're going to give you $15 million a year to do it. I'd be sure, okay. I mean, I would do it for a lot less than that now because, you know, I don't believe in any of that garbage. But yeah, I was always primed and ready. I'm like, even when I was a liberal, I was like, man, pay me the money.
Yeah, it was my YouTube monetization because I would go there and he would say, well, you know, this Trump policy, this. And I looked at him and I said, I don't care. I don't care about anything. I want my YouTube monetization back. He's more free speech. That's it. That's it. I'm like, look, you could basically show me something that said he, I don't know, that his foreign policy is going to start this or that. And I promise to God, I would not care. You could show me the animals. It would do nothing for me. Who is going to get me my YouTube monetization back? And Trump was the one who did it. Thank you, Trump. Thank you, Trump. But everybody, like, I agree. Everyone's got a bargaining, like a price. Or something that's important enough to them they would vote on. And I probably would vote on abortion if I had any hope that women, like, that they could effectively do it. But I have no hope in that regard. Oh, I know why. It's because I'm in the other account. That's why the supers aren't coming up. I'm about to pull it up. Okay, let me do the super chats to close out the show. I'm sorry, guys. It took me a second to find them. Okay, the fact that the Democrats thought a thought could be the first black woman president is crazy. Pasty said MGTOW was originally about men not marrying women, influenced by feminism, and more about bettering their lives for themselves. Now that there are dudes trying to get older men to be celibate monks, using MGTOW as a recruiting source. Cassius Malsus Clay, greatest rep emancipation proclamation. We are living under policies by the Democrats, welfare, 3 strikes ACA, among others. Ineptitude wrapped in good intentions, you rock Pearl. Biden tech industry crash made left men vote red. More and more black males are going to be voting Republicans, but will state that they are voting Democrats for exit polls to not get in trouble. I agree with some of the... Oh, I read that one already. Okay. I think that's all of them. Guys, thanks so much. That was so nice, all the super chats this show. You guys are awesome. It's the end of the month, so this is great. If you guys want to donate to the documentary, feel free. We also have a private members-only community where at some point, if you join now, you guys are going to get to meet, as long as you don't do anything crazy or like weird, you're going to get to meet me at some point in it because we're going to do events. We just got to make sure everybody's vetted because some of these are going to be like small events. And you guys see the problem with the internet. You know, I can't just have, but point is this, I'm going to bring on the most smart, intelligent people that I know, and it's a one-time purchase. So essentially, guys, buying now is a lifetime buy, and it's basically saying that you believe I'm going to interview smart, intelligent men forever, and they're going to give you guys crash courses. And, you know, the cool thing about getting in early is that you guys can help develop the courses we get. Like, if I get suggestions from a paying member, I have no problem, like, you know, reaching out to certain people if you think there's someone you want to learn from. I've always been really good at connecting people. Like, that's really I can get in touch with anybody. It's really a skill set. Like, one time when I was in right out of school, I decided I wanted to interview really successful people. And I got like 4 C-level executives to just like meet with me and let me interview them. It was kind of cool. So I have a knack for this thing. Anyways, Doug MPA, final thoughts on the show?
The Democrats have damaged their relationship with men for at least 2 generations, I think. I don't know what they're going to do to turn it around, but Jabba the Hutt is not going to do it, I can tell you. That big broad, come on now, are you serious? So that's just how disconnected the Democrats are with the average man. You know, they're going to wheel out that whale and think that she's going to do it. Are you serious? Really? So they're going to keep losing. And hey, it's good for me because, you know, I would never vote Democrat ever.
They could have brought the nip slip girl and they picked her. Anyways, like the video, guys. Please subscribe to the channel. And thanks so much. We had so many callers this